I don't know who brought snacks. They went to go get food, and then she came back, and she sat beside me again, and she was like, "Look at this." And she brought out like it was like a pack of goldfish, fruit by the foot, Rice Krispie square. She hands me the goldfish. She's like, "Can you read this?" And I was like, "Yes." She's like, "What does it say?" So I was reading the English packaging, and she's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is called a goldfish. You know, it's a little cracker that kids really like to eat. It tastes like cheese. It's really salty, and it's really popular." And then she was like, "What's this?" And the Rice Krispie square. And I was like, "Do you know Rice Krispie cereal?" And she said no. I was like, "I don't know how to describe this." And I was like, "It's rice. It's like puffed up, and then you mix it with marshmallows, and then you form it into a square, and it's really sweet." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "What's this?" And it's a fruit roll-up. I haven't seen a fruit by the foot in so long. So I was like, "Oh, this is a fruit by the foot." But I didn't know the word for foot, as in like the measurement in Japanese. So my manager was there, so I turned around. I'm like, "What is a foot in Japanese?" And she's trying to tell me, but Doppio is yelling "Ashi! Ashi!" beside me. And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up."
How to translate foot into Japanese, and I'm like, "Ashi! Ashi! Ashi!" And she says, "Shut up, Doppio!"
So Tamaki-san is like, "What? Is foot flavored?" And I was like, "No. No. I was like, "It's probably like strawberry flavored." I was like, "I'm trying to figure out how to explain this to you, but this guy won't stop yelling, and my manager won't stop laughing, because my manager is also Doppio's manager." So she was there, and she was like trying her best, but this guy won't stop. So I was like, "Shut the fuck up."
And I'm like, "Ashi! Ashi!" I think Tamaki senpai was like, "Ashi?" I think she was like, "Is it foot flavored?" And I'm like, "Yes! It's foot flavored! Foot! Ashi! Ashi!" I remember the manager was laughing. And I was explaining, and Elira was like, "You're gonna make her think that it's foot flavored." And I'm like, "That's the plan! That's the plan! That's my plan! Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!" But I'm thinking, "Yeah, it tastes like feet. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!" I think one of my plans was for her to like not want to eat it so that I could just like scoop it up and eat it myself.
So I think she couldn't understand what I was trying to tell her because Doppio kept yelling. So she opened it, and I was like explaining it to her, and she like unraveled the whole thing, and it was really long. I was telling her it's 3 feet because that's the slogan, right? It's 3 feet of fun or whatever. So she unraveled the whole thing, and she's holding it. She's like, "Oh my god, this is really big." And then she almost ate it with the paper, and I was like, no. And I was like, "You have to take this part off, it's paper." And she was like, "Oh, okay." So then she's like eating one end, and then she holds up the other end to me, and I was like, whoa. I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "Oh my god, I'm too shy." And I was like, "Huh." I was like, "Me?" And she's like nodding, and I was like, "Oh, I was too shy." And I was like, and I guess I took too long, because from behind me I hear, "I love fruit roll-up." And this fucking guy, he was like, "Oh, fruit roll-up, I love fruit roll-up." And he just and I was so shocked.
I thought, because Elira wasn't like taking it, I was like, "Oh, is it for me?" I'm looking to my left, and Elira's not touching it. I'm thinking, it's like 30 seconds, Elira's not taking it. It must be for me, right? So I stand up and I say, "Oh my god, it's fruit roll-up!" And I just take it. So like, I take the other end of the fruit roll-up, and I'm thinking, this is the first fruit roll-up I've seen in like 20 years. At least 20 years. So I'm thinking, oh my god, I want this. So I take the other end of it, and I just like shove it in my mouth. The force of it was so much that I think like the entire table shook. And Elira's like, what?
And I was like, no way. And I was like, I had to rip it. I had to rip it in half in the middle because I was like, hell no. And I was like, Veliko, help me. But Veliko was on the other side of the room talking to somebody. I was like, Veliko, help me. And I'm like calling out to her, but she's busy talking. So I was like, and then I had to rip the fruit roll up in the middle because I was like, Umino-san, get behind me. Get away from this guy.
I'm seeing this fruit roll up in the hands of Tamaki-senpai. And I'm thinking, I want to eat this. So I snatch it out of her hand, shove it in my mouth. The entire table moves with the force of a really giddy kid who really wants to eat a fruit roll-up. Elira starts screaming in my left ear, and I remember thinking, this is delicious! And so I remember like Tamaki-senpai is like eating it slowly, but I'm like chomping it down like Pac-Man. Nom 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 nom. To the point where I think I eat like 70% of it, and Tamaki-senpai probably eats like 10% of it. And Elira's like, yeah, this has to stop. So she like rips it in between me from eating the entire thing. And I'm just like, I'm left with like this little bit of fruit roll in my hand, and I'm like, but I ate most of it, so you know, I still win. I ate most of it, so I still won the fruit roll of competition. But yeah. Elira stepped in.
So I think after that, Doppio realized that there were snacks, so he got up and he left.
I'm thinking, man, I want to have snacks too. And I go out into the venue and I look for snacks because one fruit roll-up, or sorry, like half of a fruit roll-up is not enough for me. I want more. And I look around and I'm like, there's no more fruit roll-ups. I'm all depressed and stuff because I want to eat more fruit roll-up. But I see like Rice Krispie treats. And I start shoving as many Rice Krispie treats as I can into my pockets.
And then, like, Fumino-san taps me on the shoulder. I turn to her and she's like, holding up a picture of Doppio on her phone. And I was like, Oh no, she was like, how do you spell his name? I was like, oh, it's like this. So she looked it up and she's like, looking at him on her phone and she's like, I will never forget him. She's like, I know you and I know Vox. I know Veliko. And she's like, and now I will never forget Doppio. I was like, oh my god, I apologize so much. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that he's like this. That was the first day of Future Fights. So then Doppio came back with like a bunch of stuff. He took like a bunch of snacks. He like brought a bunch for me, which is really nice. Like Vox was like, oh, Doppio, you took 2 Rice Krispie squares? Like, what are you doing taking 2? You're only supposed to take 1. He was like, what? I brought 1 for Elira so that we could eat it together. I was like, you put me through so much today. And now you're giving me a Rice Krispie. So we ate Rice Krispie together. After that, it was such a crazy, like, it was only like 1 hour and all of this happened.
I come back with like a whole bunch of snacks. And I remember somebody said, Doppio, you can't take more than 1 Rice Krispie snack. And I'm thinking like, ugh. And I remember Vox was like, Doppio, you can't take more than 1 Rice Krispies treat. That's rude. And I'm thinking in my head, it's for Elira. It's for Elira. And I'm thinking in my head, Elira's not gonna eat this. I'm gonna steal it back. But Elira actually ate the Rice Krispie treat. But Elira actually ate the Rice Krispie treat because I said it was for her. I thought she would have been like, oh, thank you, but I'm full from... I lost my appetite after watching your, Anyway. Man, she probably still thinks that I actually gave it to her. Like, actually gave it for her. Rather than me actually planning on stealing it back. When she wasn't looking. She was touched from your gesture? Oh, really? Oh, don't tell her then. She was touched? Whoops. But don't worry, everyone. Don't worry. Later on, when we're passing the snack table and Vox wasn't looking, I put, and I promise you, I put like 3 Rice Krispie treats into my pockets. So, you know, I ended up getting like 4 Rice Krispie treats. So if you were worried about that, don't worry. I was able to figure out a way.